I will call the meeting to order, starting with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, noting that we have Board President Stuart Stein and Vice President John Iverson. They are via teleconference tonight. I will ask for nominations of a temporary chairman for tonight's meeting.
Nominate Jean as temporary president for tonight's meeting.
Okay, Rochelle nominated Jean Moulton as temporary president for tonight. Are there any other nominations? Okay, with no other nominations, I need a motion to cease and that a unanimous ballot be cast for Jean Moulton as temporary chair.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, motion by Lohr,
Second.
second by Rossman. Jean Moulton is declared temporary chair for the February 12th board meeting.
Thank you, Mrs. Clausen. Welcome to the Monday, February 12th, 2024 Watertown School Board meeting. Item number 2, consent agenda. I'll ask for a motion.
So moved.
Okay, moved by Rossman. I need a second.
Second.
Second by Lohr. We're moving on to 2.1, roll call. Mrs. Clausen, we'll establish that.
Okay.
2.2, conflicts of interest. Anyone to declare? None. 2.3, review and approval of the agenda. Any additions? Changes? All right. 2.4, approve minutes of the January 8th and 29th, 2024 meetings. And then we'll have a vote on that at the end.
Yep.
Okay, 2.5, receive financial reports for January 2024.
All right, thank you, Jean. The general fund operation had revenue consisting of the typical January property taxes, state aid, and federal revenue in the amount of $635,406 to accommodate title and ESSER federal allocations. The fund's ending cash position of just over $7 million aligns with that of the previous year. In the capital outlay fund, the revenue consisted of the typical January property taxes, along with other revenue of $185,000 for the sale of surplus computers, and $200,000 from a portion of the contribution from First Premier in support of the video board. Expenditures were moderate, and the cash balance in this fund of $6.9 million is above that of the previous year. Special education received $458,000 to accommodate IDEA federal allocations. This fund's ending cash position of $1.7 million is above that of the previous year, and that is due to the timing of federal support payments. K-12 nutrition had expenditures exceeded by the revenue for the month as students work through established lunch accounts. The ending cash position of $459,000 is below that of the previous year. As we begin work on the FY25 budget, we will evaluate current and anticipated costs to determine rates for the new school year. LATC revenue was significant at $7.8 million for the month, including $2.4 million in tuition support for the second semester, as well as $3.5 million in construction in progress support payments from the foundation. The cash balance of $11.1 million in this fund is below that of the previous year and is anticipated as the fund works through construction payments and a budgeted use of cash on hand in support of construction and improvement related costs. LATC Bookstore, Food Service, and Educare had sales and service revenue to support each of their programs. In the Employee Benefit Trust, the premiums were exceeded by the claims and administrative costs during the month, and the amount of a net increase of $120,000 to the plan. We will be evaluating rates for the upcoming negotiation discussions in order to determine a level of premium costs to support the operation. Later in this meeting, I will share financials of the 2023 financial year of the Employee Benefit Trust. I would be happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Any questions from the board? If not, we'll move on to 2.6, student staff recognition.
Yes, we do not have any students. We're kind of in a lull in between seasons here, so I'm thinking in March we'll have some more student staff recognition.
Okay, thank you. 2.7, South Dakota School Board Recognition Week.
Yes, that is coming up.
We have students in the house.
We do. That is coming up next week, February 19th to the 23rd, in recognition of dedicated leadership in public education and for improving achievement for all public school students, Associated School Boards of South Dakota honors the Watertown School District and its board members. And tonight, to help us celebrate, we have fourth graders from our elementary schools. So I think first I have from Jefferson Elementary to speak about board member Carrie Lohr, we have Madison Johnson.
Hi, good evening.
Hi, my name is Madison Johnson. I am the 4th grade student council president from Jefferson Elementary. On behalf of our school, I would like to thank Carrie Lohr for being an advocate for kids and being a leader for the Watertown School Board. Carrie has been on the school board since 2021, and her ultimate duty as a board member is to promote the policies of the school district. Carrie has done a wonderful job promoting the 5 components of the Watertown Plan. Thank you, Carrie, for all your continued work on the future of our education. It is great to have a person like you dedicated to these kids in the community to support our learning by the decisions you make. Thank you for all you do, Carrie.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, from Millette Elementary for Mr. John Iverson, Haven Johnson and Riley Heller. This is for you, Mr. Iverson.
I'm here.
Good evening, ladies. Go ahead.
Dear Mr. John Iverson, our names are Haven Johnson and Riley Heller. We have been students at Millette Elementary in Watertown since kindergarten. In school, I like to read mystery books. When I grow up, I want to be a teacher. In school, I like science and love learning about volcanoes. When I grow up, I want to be a nurse like my mom. Our fourth grade teacher is Miss Miriam. She had you as a teacher and mentions you often. We are writing to you today to thank you for all the hard work you do for our school. We know you work hard talking with the community and teachers. Thank you for helping our school and others in our community. We would love to have you come visit our school again. We also have 2 quick questions for you. What was your favorite part of teaching?
Mr. Iverson, what's your favorite part of teaching?
Favorite part of teaching for me was to see students get excited about learning. We call it the light bulb effect. And it's just so fun to see kids get excited. And there's so many different subjects out there that one of them is going to tickle somebody's fancy.
And why did you want to be a teacher?
Why did you want to be a teacher?
I wanted to be a teacher because I really enjoy being around people, and I enjoy helping people learn new things, new skills, whether it was coaching or teaching geography or teaching history. I just got a lot of enjoyment out of seeing people learn.
Thank you.
Thank you, girls.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you, girls.
Okay, next we have from Roosevelt Elementary, Rayleigh Rosh or Rochelle Rossman.
I'm Rayleigh Rosh. I'm in 4th grade and I go to Roosevelt Elementary. I have been here since kindergarten. Thank you for being a Watertown School Board member. We appreciate all your hard work. Thank you for your service and having the best interests of staff and students at heart. Your dedication does not go unnoticed. It is very obvious that you care about what happens with all schools. I'm sure if anyone had a concern, you would try to help. Again, thank you for all you do.
Thank you.
Next, we have from Lincoln Elementary, Madden Stein for Gene Moulton.
Hello, my name is Madden Stein and I'm in 4th grade at Lincoln Elementary. It is National School Board Week and I am here to thank all of you for your hard work, but specifically Mrs. Jean Moulton. Mrs. Moulton had been a teacher and a librarian for 43 years before being elected to the Watertown School Board. 43 years is older than my dad. So that must mean she's very intelligent. Last year, Governor Noem appointed her to the South Dakota School Board of Educational Standards. To me, that sounds like Mrs. Moulton is really on a roll. Dad, you'd better catch up or she'll be running for your job soon. In all seriousness, Mrs. Moulton, all students and teachers appreciate your dedication and leadership to our school district. You have given lots of effort to taking care of our schools. Your commitment to this role is priceless. You have made a positive change in our schools. Thank you for volunteering your time. We acknowledge how many extra hours you put in for meetings and talking to people about the school district. Just remember that we thank you for your help. P.S. And if there's anything I can ever do to help you out, like golfing techniques, give us a call. You have my dad's number.
That would be priceless.
And now we have from McKinley Elementary, J.B. Rathburn for Stuart Stein. Here we go, Stuart.
Alrighty.
Good evening. Go ahead.
Dear Mr. Stein, good evening. My name is Jensen Rathburn. I'm a 4th grade student at McKinley Elementary. I'm honored to be here tonight on behalf of my school. We would like to say thank you for your service and dedication to our district. The decisions you make greatly impact our school, district, and community. Our McKinley gym is top-notch. It is full of equipment that we enjoy using daily. We have great technology such as our iPads, view boards, and online learning applications that enhance our learning in the classroom. We have opportunities to participate in extracurricular activities and make it so all kids can learn and participate in activities that interest them. Again, I would like to say thank you for your service on the Watertown School Board. Sincerely, Jensen Rathburn.
Thank you. Good job.
Thank you, student.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. That was wonderful.
Thank you, students and parents, for bringing them tonight. And my personal thank you to our school board for their dedication. High-paying job here, but I appreciate you doing it and taking your time to make the tough decisions. So, thank you.
We'll now call for the vote on the consent agenda. And wait a minute, I'm on a roll. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nay? The ayes have it. The motion passes. Consent agenda is approved. So we'll have a change up in the room for a moment. Moving on to item 3, discussion items for Lake Area Technical College. President Sanderson, you please. Yep, I move into that. 3.1, public input on agenda or non-agenda items is the first item there. Seeing none, we'll move on to 3.2, President Sanderson, enrollment update.
Thank
Good
you,
evening.
Madam Chair. And board members, thank you for your service. I would echo what Dr. Danielson shared about we appreciate your support a ton, and if you'll give me some leeway, I'd like to say thank you to the elementary administrators and teachers that made that activity happen. Really impressive young people. That was terrific. I'll just share with you a couple of quick notes in terms of where we're at. We've started second semester, we're a month in, and campus has been a happening place as we rush into midterm just around the corner in front of us. But we've officially reached the point in the semester where we have official enrollment numbers, and very positive news to share with you. Our spring enrollment right now is at 2,136 students on campus, which has been right about where we've been the last several years, and anticipate that by the time we end this academic year, we'll be right around that 2,600 students through Lake Area Tech over the course of the year. So a huge thanks to our faculty and staff for creating an environment for student learning, and for all of the students who join us at Lake Area Tech as students. A couple of things that I would share with you as we look beyond this academic year to how things are looking both for next year and where we're headed between now and the end of the decade, or 2030. So as we look to next fall, enrollments are looking very strong at this point. We will not count any chickens until all of the eggs have hatched. Next August, we'll start school for the 24-25 school year on August 26th. But I will share with you, of our 31 programs, there are 5 programs who are already at capacity and waitlisting students. And so that's a great place to be this many months out from the start of the school year. Our faculty and staff, our admissions team have been running really hard in terms of recruitment and helping to make some personal connections with students who are expressing interest in Lake Area Tech, and those efforts are seeing great dividends right now, and really excited to welcome so many students to campus next fall. As we look ahead towards the end of the decade, the Board of Technical Education in South Dakota put a challenge before the 4 technical colleges to say, what would it take for us to produce more graduates for South Dakota's workforce? And we've taken that question really seriously over the last several months. So while we love having 2,136 students on campus right now, as we look towards the future, our real focus is on how can we continue to work with industry partners and create a learning environment students are drawn to, so that we can produce more graduates for South Dakota's workforce. Our goal by 2030 is to move from an average of 825 graduates each year to an average of 1,015 or more. And so that's a 23% increase between now and 2030, a lofty goal, but one that we are pursuing wholeheartedly. And so you'll continue to see our efforts around that action of moving from 825 to 1,015 each year over the course of the next several months and years. But really, we'll be putting an emphasis on our retention of current students, really purposeful recruitment of students coming into our system, both traditionally aged and non-traditionally aged. And then we'll also be adding program options or new programs to the mix. And so you'll be hearing from us in the next couple of months about new program options coming online. But Madam Chairwoman, that's a brief look at where we're at as we enter the spring semester this year. I'll stand by for any questions you might have.
And we have more than one campus. We do not have just this campus in Watertown. We also have areas that we teach in other towns.
Point well taken, yes. We have a nursing cohort based out of Capital City campus in Pierre, and depending on the number of students in certain areas that are online or in part-time situations, this year we also have an adjunct in Aberdeen helping with clinicals and preceptorships for nursing students in that area. So we are happy to share the love in a lot of areas and appreciate, we've got conversations going with several communities right now and some grant applications in to expand that kind of location, place, education as well. So hope to see more of that.
Thank you. Moving on to item 4, action items for Lake Area Technical College. 4.1 personnel, 4.1.1 retirements.
Thank you. We'll start with the retirement list before you. We have one retirement that has been submitted for the end of this current contract year and recommend your approval of an outstanding staff member and legacy at Lake Area Technical College in Chris Barrett. She has done phenomenal work in our physical therapy assistant program and appreciate her work tremendously.
Thank you. I'll ask for a motion for that.
Make a motion to approve the retirements.
Motion by Laura, ask for a
Second.
second. Second by Rossman. Moved and seconded. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Nay. Motion passes. Retirements. We have no resignations.
Correct.
Moving on to 4.1.3, contract recommendations and addendums.
Before you, you'll see a variety of contracts for permanent staff, for temporary part-time, and for adjunct instructors for all of our spring activities. And I will just draw your attention to the update that came out today. And those are additional adjuncts for spring semester, but you'll see at the end of that list there are 2 stipends for $3,000. Those were inadvertently added on. Those were actually approved in January at the board meeting, so I would recommend your approval of the list sans the last 2 items that were added this afternoon.
Okay, I'll ask for a motion for contract recommendations and addendums.
I'll make a motion to approve as stated, except for those 2 that they're striking
Thank you.
through. Yep.
Moved by Rossman, I'll ask for a second.
Second.
Second by Laura. Any questions or discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, nay? Motion passes. They're approved. Moving on to 4.1.4, stipend requests.
Thank you. Before you are 4 of our faculty who are working on advanced degrees, a combination of master's degrees and doctorates, and recommend the board's approval of those stipends as presented.
Ask for a motion for request for stipend.
So moved.
Moved by Rossman, ask for a second.
Second.
Second by Laura. Any discussion or questions? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. Moving on to 4.2, property. 4.2.1, consider equipment bid for the anatomy table.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We recommend the board's approval of the sole bid that came in for 2 anatomy tables. One of those anatomy tables will be placed in Pier for the nursing program, and another anatomy table here on campus for use by all of the students in our health science programs. The equipment itself will be paid for through the GOED equipment grant, and the bid met all of our specifications.
Ask for a motion to consider the bid.
I move that we accept the bid for the anatomy tables.
Iverson moved, I need a second.
Second.
Second by Rossman, and moved and seconded. Any questions or discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Nay? Hearing none, motion passes, and it's approved. Item 4.2.2, equipment bid for the used airplanes.
Thank you. This request has 2 parts to it. The first, we recommend the board accepting the sole bid from Martin Coleman so that we may purchase a used airplane at $72,000 out of Oklahoma. And then part 2 of the request for approval is seeking your authority for the purchase of additional aircraft for our fixed wing aviation program so that we might purchase additional aircraft by June 1st of 2024, not to exceed $122,000. That $122,000 comes from a combination of grant funds from the Governor's Office of Economic Development and previous revenue from surplus sale of an older aircraft.
Okay, I'll ask for a motion for consideration of the bid for used airplanes.
I move that we accept the bid for the used airplanes.
Thank you, Mr. Iverson, and I need a second.
Second.
Moved by Iverson, seconded by Laura. All those any questions or discussion before we move on? I'm hearing a lot of airplanes out the airport, so we must be doing great. Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Hearing none, It's approved. Moving on to 4.2.3, authority to bid a semi-tractor and trailer.
Thank you. We're seeking the board's approval to move forward in the bid process for an additional semi-tractor and trailer for use in our commercial driver's license program, or CDL program, at an estimated cost of $110,000. The funds that we will use to make that purchase will come from our existing budget.
Okay. Ask for a motion for the semi-tractor and trailer authority to bid.
I move that we accept the bid for the semi-tractor and trailer.
Thank you, Mr. Iverson. Need a second.
Second.
Moved by Iverson, second by Rossman. Authority to bid semi-tractor and trailer. Any questions or discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, nay. Hearing none, it's approved. Moving to 4.2.4, authority to purchase a mobile dental unit.
Thank you. With the updates and full renovation to our dental assisting program, we are equipping that new renovated space with new equipment, and so ask for your approval of the mobile dental simulator units, purchasing those from Henry Sheen at a cost of $298,345 from our GOED equipment grant. So those would be fully funded by equipment dollars.
Okay, thank you. I'll need a motion for purchase.
I move that we authorize the purchase of the mobile dental simulator unit.
Thank you, Mr. Iverson. I need a second.
Second.
Moved to Iverson, second by Lohr. Any questions or discussion? How mobile is mobile?
There'll be 16 units in one of our back classrooms, but those can be moved to other spaces if needed.
Okay. Any other questions or discussion?
Surprised. I mean, that's a fair amount of change, but I'm surprised they're not way more expensive for what they do for them. So impressive. Good.
Perfect. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Hearing none, it's approved. And we're moving on to the item number 4.2.5, authority to purchase a dental treatment consoles.
Thank you. As part of the dental renovation, there'll now be 10 operatories within the dental assisting lab. And in those operatories, each one needs the treatment consoles to run electrical, gas, and water. And so with your approval of this item of about $257,000, we'll be able to add those into the project. They take about 5 months to produce, and so it's important that we get that order started.
Okay. Need a motion for authority to purchase.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Iverson. Need a second.
Second.
Second. Moved by Iverson, second by Rossman. Any questions or discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Nay. Hearing none, it's approved. Moving to item 4.2.6, authority to purchase dental operatory, oh, wonderful word, instruments and lighting.
This is the last part of the dental remodel that we have on the agenda for tonight, and with your approval, we'll be able to use Perkins Equipment Grant funds to purchase the instruments and lighting to go into each of the operatories.
Thank
The
you.
estimated cost there is about $200,000.
Okay, nothing's ever cheap.
It's not.
Okay, I'll ask for a motion for authority to purchase.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Iverson. Need a second.
Second.
Moved by Iverson, second by Lohr. Any questions or discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Nay. Hearing none, it's approved. Motion is approved. Moving to 4.2.7, consider a change order for the aviation parking lot reconstruction.
Thank you. So we'll move from oral health back to planes. This is a change order for the parking lot out at the aviation maintenance hangar. That work, the bid was back in the late summer, if I remember correctly, and as they were working on the project this fall, there's a soft spot in the project and they had to use some more materials. So we're asking for your approval on the change order totaling $22,379.50.
Okay, thank you. Need a motion to consider the change order.
I move that we approve the change order for the aviation parking lot reconstruction.
Thank you, Mr. Iverson. Need a second.
Second?
Moved by Iverson, seconded by Rossman to consider the change order. Any questions or discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing no nays, motion passes and it's approved. Moving to 4.2.8, consider the architectural and engineering contract for the surgical technology renovation.
Very excited to bring this agenda item before you all tonight. So if you'll give me just a little leeway to describe some of the movement going on in programs. As we open up the archway, which will house our financial services, business programs, and advanced manufacturing this next fall, that means that the mid part of campus will open up. Those classrooms will be available for other purposes. And as we look at high demand needs in the area, surgical technology is an area where industry is in need of more professionals. And so as classrooms open up, we are seeking your approval to do the architectural and engineering to design a portion of campus that will be open so that we can add in operatories, a scrub room, and a sanitization area for our surgical technology students. This last fall, surgical technology is a brand new program, and we were able to admit 12 students, which was full capacity for one cohort in that program. Has been off to a great start, and as we look ahead to next fall, surgical technology is one of those programs that we have expanded the number of students that we'll bring in, so we're adding more than one cohort next fall, and that is already full and waitlisting. So a very popular program, and we need more space to accommodate that. So with your approval, we will do the architectural and engineering for that project in cooperation with Co-op Architecture at a rate of $65,000. And then we'll come back to you with approval to go to bid on the construction project once we have that in hand.
Thank you. Okay, I'm asking for a motion to consider the engineering and architectural contract.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Iverson. Need a second.
Second.
Moved by Iverson, seconded by Lohr to consider the contract. Any questions or discussion? And that program actually serves an entire region of the state.
It does.
Not just here in Watertown. Excellent.
Great.
Thank you. Any other questions or discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Thank you. Opposed? Hearing none. That is approved. Moving on to 4.2.9, consider surplus property resolution.
Thank you. You'll find a resolution in your board packet so that we can surplus several older welders and make room for additional welders that will be upgraded and updated through grant funding.
Okay. Asking for a motion to consider surplus property resolution.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Iverson. Need a second.
Second?
Moved by Iverson, seconded by Rossman. Any questions or discussion? Welding is a huge growing program, both at Northeast Tech and
It is. We appreciate that partnership. We have up to 70 slots available within that program, and it is quickly filling, so high demand area.
good. Thank you. Any other questions or discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Hearing none, it's approved. Moving to 4.2.10, consider the property lease adult education.
Very good. So as part of our services in partnership with the South Dakota Department of Labor and Regulation, we have adult education and GED services both here in Watertown and in Brookings. And there's some changes going on within Department of Labor, and the office space that we shared together in Brookings will no longer be used by Department of Labor for their regular purposes, but we'll continue to offer GED services in the Brookings community. And so through this transition, we would like to stay in the space that we have been in with Department of Labor, and so asking for your approval to extend the lease for 2 additional months as we find a permanent home for that program. The lease would be for 900 square feet of office space at a rate of $720 per month for the next 2 months.
Okay, thank you. Asking for a motion to consider the property lease for adult education learning.
I move that we consider approving the property lease.
Thank you. We need a second.
Second.
Moved by Iverson, second by Lohr. Any questions or discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing no nays, it is approved. That was a long list, and thank you very much.
Thanks for the gauntlet.
Yeah.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
can we pause for 1 second and try and reconnect Stuart on a different
I was just
line?
going to ask.
If we
Yeah.
could. So
Think
if I
we
could
lo-
have Deb come up and
I
we could
think
just
we
take
lost
like a
him.
3-minute break.
You bet.
Or John, we're gonna try and keep you on, or Deb may have to start a new conference call.
Okay, that sounds fine.
Thank you.
I'll call you back, John.
Thank you.
Okay, we're back. We lost the superintendent. We're holding. We're waiting for someone. Okay, we're good. Okay, moving to item number 5, discussion items for District 14-4. Item 5.1, public input on agenda or non-agenda items. Seeing none, moving to 5.2, Northeast Technical High School report. Dr. Danielson.
Yes, thank you. We did not have a superintendent's meeting since the January board meeting, but just a reminder to those board members who are on our board, Northeast Tech Board, that we meet on the 21st at 5:45, and if you are in on the director's review, we meet at 5:15 for that.
Okay, I think I have another meeting about that too. All right, thank you. 5.3, Employee Benefit Trust, Mrs. Clausen.
Perfect, thanks Jean. For the 2023 financial report of the district's self-funded health and group dental insurance, we saw an overall net decrease in cash balance of $1.1 million, ending the 2023 year with an ending available cash on hand of $3.7 million. This is equivalent to a 37.37% fund balance. Total claims increased by 21.88% from the previous year. The average trend of our EBT is 23.10%, which is below Wellmark's experienced trend of 8.36%. Actual claims versus projected is 111.47% in the first 6 months of this contract. This compares to 94% at this time last year. Our plan had 162 claims over $10,000 and 8 over $100,000. Cost trends reported by Wellmark include that nearly 10% of the members incurred no claims in the current period. An additional 64% had claims paid over $2,500 or less. The remaining 26% of members accounted for 92% of the claims paid. The cost of prescription drugs continues to be a significant portion of the medical cost, as approximately 31% of the health claims are related to prescription drugs, which is comparable to the prior year. Walmart continues to monitor the use of prescription drugs, and credits are provided to the district for rebates and incentives offered by the drug companies, of which just over $1 million was received in 2023, the $1,000 deductible. Employees are allowed to enroll in coverage or to change between the two plans annually. Monthly, the district contributes $670 towards the cost of group health coverage and $37 towards the cost of group dental coverage for plan participants eligible towards the contribution towards the plan. There are currently 701 employees, retirees, or elected COBRA on the plan, and the demographics of the plan include 72% female, 69% electing single, 54% are over the age of 45, 44% are over the age of 65. I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Thank you for that update. What percent did you say is prescription cost, drug cost?
That is 26%. Or 31% of our plan is related to claims with prescription drugs.
Thank you. Anyone else have any questions? Certainly, we're going to have to keep an eye on this.
Yep.
Did you say, like, was it 100 staff or some that there's no claims for? Was that, sorry? I can go
Yes.
back to that.
We have, with our plan participants, we have 10% of our members have incurred no claims in the current period.
So would that include, like, that they're not even seeking preventive, like, appointments?
No,
Are
this
those
would be claims processed.
Okay, so those don't count
Yep,
as
so
claims.
preventative
Okay.
would still be part of that
Okay.
percent. Mm-hmm.
Any other questions? Concerns? Okay. Moving on to 5.4, first reading of policies.
Yes, thank you. We have before you two different policies related to our attendance areas and boundaries. So policy JC is school attendance areas. These are here for a first reading. I'll talk a little bit about the policies, and then we actually have Jason Can from Co-op Architects to come up and talk a little bit about the boundary map, which is part of JCA item 5.4.2. So under JC, some changes to the policy, but nothing really substantive, other than, so the main substantive change here is a notation in the policy that the superintendent shall, at the minimum of every 5 years, review the established boundary lines and bring any recommended changes to the school board for their considerations. What we found in our discussion the last 2 years is that since Garfield closed, we really hadn't done an overall look at our boundary changes, and over the course of 20 years, the housing market has changed and growth areas, some of that. So that's the big change to the policy, other than some language. I would make note that the wording on intra-district open enrollment is updated, but not the process change. So the new language says families may use the intra-district enrollment process as established by the superintendent. Intra-district enrollment requests are reviewed by the superintendent or designee and are fulfilled as allowed by available district services and space at individual school buildings. So throughout this process, that has been a question of would that be still allowed? It would be, as space and services are available. And then that's JC. And then under JCA, this used to show street-lined attendance boundaries, so they were described through streets. Our recommendation is to put the updated map in here, which Mr. Can will show here in just a minute. So the policy would now read: School Board Policy JCA shows a color-coded map of the elementary school attendance areas. The map will be updated if there are changes to the attendance areas when they are reviewed by the superintendent. Attendance areas are reviewed at a minimum every 5 years, so indicating that. So we would be looking at this in the 28-29 school year, if not needed before that. So I'm going to have Mr. Can come up and walk you through a little bit about the process that we used and what we have going from 5 attendance areas to 3 with the proposal that you had before you in January.
Thank you. Co-op architect Jason Kahn.
Thank you very much. I'll start just by looking at this map we have up here, which was the old boundaries with the 5 elementary schools. Just kind of as a point of reference for everyone going forward, kind of where it started, how that sort of relates to where we ended up. That image is kind of served as the base map going forward here, trying to maintain a fairly similar boundary lines as much as we could. Obviously, with the removal of the red and the brown portions that you see in the bottom of the map there. You can probably just go to the next map. If you zoom in on this one here, this shows, as part of this process, we have talked a bit about the student population, the density, kind of where those students live. So we took the student locations. This isn't divided up by grade level or anything like that, but it's basically a density map of where the students come from in Watertown. So you can see the darker areas are the denser student population areas. And then obviously the lighter areas are less students. It doesn't mean there's less houses and that sort of stuff there, but this is where more of the students who are currently enrolled in the district are coming from right now. Again, that doesn't break down to a grade level or anything like that, so it's more of a snippet of how that looks right now just in the district, and obviously can morph a little bit as time goes and changes, but right now that's the areas that have the denser populations. You can obviously see Millette there in the middle is probably the densest area, kind of in the middle of the town, more tightly spaced, a lot more students, kids in that area. Obviously Jefferson's got a nice space, but Lincoln actually has several of them, which obviously makes sense as you kind of think about the residential areas and how they're laid out around town. So obviously the big task here was sort of how to take that McKinley portion, the Roosevelt portion, and kind of over by Garfield there, and sort of evenly distribute those into the other 3 schools in a way that sort of made sense, and also sort of hit the numbers that we needed to hit from a percentage standpoint to make it make sense for sections within each one of those schools. The other piece that kind of went into the consideration here is just sort of how you access those. Obviously the school, when you're very close to the school within walking distance, you obviously want to keep that within that school that it's close to, but most of the travel obviously has moved towards parents dropping off or bus traffic, bus travel, and there are bus stops sort of all throughout the city, kind of helping to pick kids up and take them to the intermediate school and then distribute them to all of the elementary schools from there. And that's a big portion of how kids get to school. So it's an important piece of that was just traffic and how to get them access to schools on some collector roads as opposed to using more local roads and smaller kind of residential roads. So that's using Highway 81 and Highway 20 and 14th and 10th and just some of the bigger roads that have good connection to those schools. So you can probably go to the next map, Derek. So this map here is the proposed layout for the district, and it has sort of been dubbed as Dr. Danielson had said, the donut plan a little bit. But basically you can see the blue district there is Millette. The yellow district is Jefferson, and the green district is Lincoln. The main goal with these was to try to hit our target enrollment percentages, and that's basically Lincoln and Jefferson both are 4 section schools. Millette would be a 3-section school. So with Millette, we're shooting for a percentage of 28% to fill those, and for the other 2, we're shooting for a percentage of 36%. So when you take these from a percentage standpoint, the denser section of Millette works out really well, and then you take, right now we have Derby Downs and kind of out by the lake, all kind of combined in that to create a little bit more of a steady district that is fuller more of the time, most of the time, that gets closer to the percentage that we were trying to hit for that 28% to fill 3 sections within that school. So that actually brings, right now, that actually brings the percentage of that school to 28%. So it fills it up very nicely. That allows Lincoln and Jefferson to have a little bit more of the flexibility for the areas of town that have some more development going on, more growth, that sort of stuff. Those are kind of housed in the boundaries of those schools where they can accommodate a little bit more of the flexibility for students, can accommodate a little bit more students as things grow and everything there. So part of the thought process here too then is, as you pick up some of the McKinley and Roosevelt district, they do still have nice access to Jefferson. Like I said, the collector roads, you take Highway 81 and Highway 20 up to 14th, the major roads, to have better traffic, not on local streets. So Jefferson is very accessible from that standpoint. So it makes sense to have some of the students who are going to be driving where the school is not right in their neighborhood, like it was, that they have access to one of the schools that is more located on collector roads. Millette is fairly similar as well, with access from the lake and Derby Downs and all that on Highway 20, and then coming across 10th to provide easy access there, whether you're coming in on 212 or 20 up and across there. So just easier vehicular access on the collector roads to that school. So you can see down in the bottom where it says percentage enrollment breakdown. So that currently shows, the map right now has Lincoln at 33%. Again, that goal is 36% to sort of fill that from a 4-section standpoint. McKinley is at 28%, or excuse me, Millette. Millette is at 28%, which fills those 3 sections, which is a good situation for a school that is, or for the elementary school that is sort of surrounded by other districts where it has less future growth and all that sort of stuff to help kind of keep that school fuller more of the time. And then Jefferson is at 27%. And you'll see right after that is an open enrollment percentage of 12. That is everyone else in the district right now who is not allocate, whose address does not fall in one of these indicated areas, and they would be open enrolled to fill out Lincoln and Jefferson for the most part, to fill out the rest of that enrollment.
They're
The rural kid, yep, the
areas, yes.
rural addresses, yep.
You want to talk a little bit about the growth areas in each of the 3 boundaries?
Yes. So as you're all familiar, obviously the north side of town, east side of town, Lincoln, Jefferson, those both have several areas where development is going on and houses are coming about, and that's just in general where more of the growth is happening right now. And those 2 schools obviously are set up to facilitate that as well, and probably pick up more of that. Jefferson has quite a bit of it right now, and they have the capacity to handle more of that growth kind of going forward. So hopefully you don't run into any issues with development and growth in the next couple of years and making that sort of non-viable from a boundary standpoint. We did want to make sure that we included a little bit for Millette as well, which has, there's some development kind of going up at Derby Downs and out by the lake as well. So to make sure that we kind of maintain that a little bit of growth with that student base as well. There is a little bit of development that was sort of incorporated into all 3 of them to kind of even that out as much as we can, while focusing a little bit more of it in Jefferson and Lincoln, which have a little bit more of the flexibility to handle that.
So just to clarify and recap, when we're talking percentages, when you say Lincoln at 33%, so that everybody understands, it doesn't mean that building is only at capacity of 33%. It means that of the total enrollment for all.
Correct.
That's their percentage.
Yep. That means that, right now the dots on the map there, they have 33% of those dots. And again, that's going to fluctuate a little bit, and that's not dedicated to, the students who are in 1st through 4th right now. It's more of a overall snippet of the district. But that's a general target date to just kind of evenly divide them to hit the 3 sections in Millette and then 4 in each Jefferson and Lincoln.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Any further board questions?
One small thing, it's 1 through 4.
Yes,
not
and,
2 through 4, right? Yeah.
Heidi actually
Yeah.
noted that too, and I didn't get that corrected, so I apologize for that. The next map I actually think does have it. We did have a sort of a heat map shown for it too, but yes, I missed correcting that, so that's my bad.
I think one thing that's important to note for the board as well is looking at, we talked about the transportation piece with intermediate school. We actually ran, and we're working on a map right now that shows these pinpoints, but we
Yes.
ran a report on how many in-town stops we currently have. And we stop in town 45 times to accommodate students already within the district, so that would continue. So same thing with Roosevelt and McKinley, those 2 schools would still have bus stops where those students could get on the bus and be taken to the school that they would be within that new boundary.
Yes.
So that's important to note, 45 stops that we have in town to accommodate transportation.
Yep. Absolutely. And we will have a map for that. We just don't have that, didn't have that quite prepared for this. But we'll have kind of a map that shows sort of where those stops are and how it overlaps and everything too. So we'll get that to you very soon.
Thank you. Should delay a lot of questions. Dr. Dennison, anything else?
No, I just want to make sure everybody realizes this was a first reading of this policy. And so when we do first readings, those are put on the website for public comment. And then if we have any changes, they would be updated and brought back to the March school board meeting for possible second reading. I want to make sure for those people who have followed that my original motion was kind of a diagonal cut through the district, and realistically, when started to put the numbers, I think once I call it the heat map was kind of overlaid there, it became apparent that original thought of how we might have to divide up the district wasn't necessarily going to be the best way to make sure that each school filled to the number of sections. So as we've been talking about the proposal that you'll be looking at here in just a minute, Millette as a 3-section school and Jefferson and Lincoln as 4-section schools, it needed to better align with where the students are at so that we reach that capacity. So I need to kind of fall on that one because I know at different presentations that motion has gotten overdone, I'll just say, by me. And so that's where the change came in, was once he kind of plugged in the available data.
I appreciate all you guys did to put this together, because for me, I needed to see the visual of this for the breakdown of the idea of what it was kind of going to look like, and I think that'll help the community have a clearer picture of it as well. Some of it mimics old boundary lines I'm seeing a little bit from years ago. So
Yes, it
yeah.
does. And some of that makes a lot of logistical sense just from bigger roads, kind of roads that sort of divide neighborhoods and things like that. So it does make sense to sort of follow some of those same boundaries that did exist.
And because the percentages were smaller, just for the viewing audience, it was the goal is to have Millette with a 3-section school at 28% of the students, and then Lincoln and Jefferson at 36% each, as filling out to get to your 100% of grades 1 through 4.
Correct.
Did we see the full map that shows Derby Downs is right here.
I think they're
Those golf course and the
Yeah,
okay, there we
that
go.
one.
That looks different than before as well then. Yeah. Okay.
Yep. So yeah, I mean, it does include Derby Downs, kind of the development out by the lake, and then obviously around the lake. From an access standpoint, as I was talking about, Highway 20 and 212 sort of coming into town and having good access off of those. But those communities there, the neighborhoods there, do provide about the right number of students that fits well with the Millette, the quantity of students who would go into Millette, and it provides them with reasonable access on collector roads to get there.
And previously, was rural, correct?
The lake was
Okay.
considered rural before, so that would
Okay.
be a change.
There's far less students at the lake than I ever anticipated seeing this map
Yep.
drawn up this way.
And I'll be honest, I would guess as, you know, bigger cabins and things
Right.
like that, there probably will be
Yeah.
less going
Mhm.
forward, I would
Elementary
think
anyway.
too. Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So no vote needed on this
No.
one
Okay.
tonight,
Nope.
this first reading. Thank you, Jason.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Moving to item 6, action items for District 14-4. 6.1, approval of the bills. I need a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the bills.
Thank you, and I need a second.
Second?
Motion by Laura, second by Rossman for approval of the bills. Any discussion or questions? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Stuart and John, we still have you?
Yes, I'm still here.
Stuart, are you still there?
Still here.
Okay, good, thank you. Any opposed? If not, the motion passes. And moving to 6.2, personnel, 6.2.1, retirements.
We have 6 retirements for your consideration this evening. C.C. Susie, D.D. Gilbertson, Kay Olson, Lori Fox, Tammy Scone, and Lori Rook. I want to thank them and those staff members for their years of service with the Watertown School District, and do recommend this approval.
Thank you. I'm asking for a motion for retirements
So moved.
and a second.
Second.
Motion by Rossman, second by Laura. Any questions or discussion?
More of an observation, but first a thank you to those retirees, but reading their letters, it was a lot of staff that had been in the district for a very long time.
Very long time.
It's impressive, so.
Good observation, thank you. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Okay, a little time to let. And that is approved. Moving to 6.2.2, resignations.
One additional resignation that's not listed up on the board here is Dakota Callsbeck, computer lab para at McKinley. Do recommend these approval of these resignations this evening.
Okay, ask for a motion for resignations.
Make a motion to approve the resignations.
Okay, motion by Laura, need a second.
Second?
Second by Rossman. Been moved and seconded. Any discussion or questions? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Thank you. Hearing any nays? Hearing none? All right, that is approved. Moving to 6.2.3, contract recommendations and addendums. Mr. Berrios.
Yep, just the 2 additions there highlighted in yellow, but do present these and recommend their approval this evening.
Okay, they're listed up there on the board. Ask for a motion for contract recommendations and addendums.
Make a motion to approve the contract recommendations and addendums.
Thank you, Mrs. Laura. I need a second. Motion by Laura, second by Rossman. Any questions or discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Any nays? All right, that passes. Motion is approved. 6.2.4, superintendent contract. Mr. Berrios, who's speaking to this?
I was looking at Heidi, but I can't.
Looking for recommendation on the superintendent's contract
Thank you. Okay, I'll need a,
for a 2-year role.
25, 25, 26.
all right.
Make a
2024
motion.
to 2026. Okay, I'm asking for a motion for the superintendent contract.
I'll make a motion to approve the superintendent contract.
Motion by Laura, need a second. Second by Rossman. Been moved and seconded. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Hearing no nays. Motion is approved. Moving to 6.3, property, 6.3.1. Consider the Aero TV sponsorship agreement.
Yes, this agreement is between the district and Dakota Land Financial Services and Dakota Land Federal Credit Union to sponsor the Aero TV production for school years 24-25, 25-26, and 26-27 at an annual rate of $20,000 for a total of $60,000. The exclusive agreement outlines the partnership between Dakota Land and the production of Aero TV. The agreement can be terminated with a 90-day clause by either party. For the 27-28 school year, Dakota Land will have the right to extend the agreement for another 3 years. Extension of the agreement will be dependent on continuation of the Aero TV program, and the monetary value will be reviewed based on the needs of the program.
Okay. Asking for a motion to consider the agreement.
I'll make a motion.
I move that we consider the agreement with Aero TV sponsorship.
Toss up.
Second.
Moved by Everson, second by Rossman. Any questions or discussion? And this is money that comes into the district.
Yes, that is correct. Just a thank you to Dakota Land on that agreement and their sponsorship.
They have already been sponsoring some of our events this year, so we appreciate their support this year and their continued offer of support for the next 3 years.
Very good. Thank you. Any further questions or discussion? Not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and the motion is approved. Moving to 6.3.2, consider the Aero Early Childhood Plan.
Yes, thank you. Last month, I had a proposal or a presentation on something we called the Aero Early Childhood Plan. And just as you look at the executive summary in your board packet, just a reminder for the board and the audience, the Watertown School District has been studying a plan for our elementary schools for over 2 years. After considering a proposal in the spring of 2023, the Watertown School Board asked for further study during the 23-24 school year. A committee was commissioned in the fall of 2023 composed of parents, community members, teachers, admin, and 2 board members. This committee looked at the demographics of our elementary schools, considered potential solutions, determined a possible solution to bring forward, and looked at the possible new boundaries for this solution. In November of 2023, the Watertown School Board made the decision to close Roosevelt Elementary with a plan forthcoming on the redistribution of students. The Aero Early Childhood Plan was first presented to the committee that was formed, and then at 2 different staff meetings in December. It was presented at the January 8th school board meeting and to McKinley parents on January 22nd. This concept consists of McKinley Elementary becoming an early childhood center with preschool and kindergarten students. The remaining schools, Jefferson, Lincoln, and Millette, would host grades 1 through 4. The Aero Early Childhood Plan would begin in the fall of 2024, and a revision to our elementary boundary policies was shared earlier at this meeting. Students already enrolled in Jefferson, Lincoln, and Millette would be allowed to remain at their current schools, and the McKinley and Roosevelt students would be distributed by following the updated boundaries while considering capacity at the 3 other schools. McKinley would house our special education preschool, our Title I preschool. We would move to an all-day junior kindergarten, and then our kindergarten students. And in addition to our preschool services would be the possibility of a paid option for families to educate their 4-year-old at the district preschool site. So our proposal is a full implementation of the Aero Early Childhood Plan with an approval of new district boundaries later this spring, as early as the March 11th school board meeting. So our recommendation as district administrators is to approve the Aero Early Childhood Plan for the upcoming school year.
Thank you, Dr. Danielson. Ask for a motion on consideration of the Early Childhood Plan.
Make a motion.
I move that we consider approving the Aero Early Childhood Plan.
He's so good.
You're so quick.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Iverson.
I'll second it.
Okay, moved by Iverson, second by Rossman. Questions, discussions? Stuart? Are you still there?
Yep, I'm still here. If someone can read my comments.
Yep, I have it right here. This is from Stuart Stein. First, I'm sorry I'm not able to be here for tonight's board meeting. Missing my son read his comments is unfortunate, but also because of the nature of the decision and vote that is taking place tonight in the Arrow Early Childhood Elementary Plan. As many of you recall, I was not in favor of the partner school plan. Most of my concerns stemmed from what I felt was a rushed decision and not fully vetted out of all options available. I know there was a lot of time and effort that was put into developing that particular concept, so rushed is likely not the best way to describe it. Even though it's likely the partner plan would have gone on to be a successful concept for the district, I feel the option being presented this evening is better. This plan will help fill needs within community and largely addresses most of the concerns received from community feedback sessions. In addition, I feel as though we've arrived at this decision in a much better spot. Personally, I have received little to no feedback. Strictly as a matter of comparison between this year and last year, it's not even close. To me, this also seems to indicate that our community is on board with this decision as well. I'd like to thank Dr. Danielson and all those involved for helping along the way and getting us to this point. I'm proud of your efforts to formulate this plum plan as initially called, and I'm looking forward to seeking positive impact on the community of Watertown as a whole. Stuart Stein.
Thank you.
You have anything to add? Anyone? Questions, discussion?
I will. I just feel like I can't take a vote like this without addressing some of it a little bit myself, but I do want to thank you guys as well for the board members and at district staff and admin and the community members that were on the elementary planning committee, because I know that took a lot of time and effort, and we appreciate the work that you all put in for that. I wasn't a part of it, but I appreciate you all doing that. So I guess when I think about this, I think about this big decision that we have to make. It would be really easy for me to just think about my two kids that I have and how they're represented in the district. If the easy decision were to just keep things the way they were, my kid would just continue second grade going on through Millette. My younger son will be a kindergarten next year. It would just be easy to say, great, they're just going to stay there. That's the way it's going to be. But none of you elected us to be up here to make easy decisions or just to represent only our kids or a few kids in the district. So that's really where I've tried to be thoughtful about this proposal. I guess when the district was looking at how to best redistribute the Roosevelt students and staff, they were definitely looking at how to make it the most equitable and really what would be the best for all students and staff. And I guess also just approaching that in a sensible manner, making sure we're doing things smart. They took that opportunity to really look at it, and I think as Stuart said in his statement, the feedback from last year was really taken into consideration, and that was taken very seriously. And it gave us an opportunity to just take the time and to kind of have a moment to just look at the current layout of our early elementary, I should say, or lower elementary system, and also look at maybe where we were having some gaps and weaknesses and take this as an opportunity to improve in those areas and even be innovative. I mean, honestly, if you look at this plan, it is an innovative plan, and I think that's exciting. As a result, I guess that's where we're here tonight. But I have also, I'll echo, I wasn't on the board last year, so I didn't get the feedback like you all did last year, but I have received some opposition and feedback in that manner. But honestly, the majority of the feedback that I've gotten has been in support. I think that people that I've heard from at least have seen the benefits of this proposed plan. They see the value of that there's potential to expand our early childhood programming, not in competition with what already exists in the community, but offer that to even more kids in the district. I mean, the other benefits that some of them have voiced are just that it's a huge opportunity to create that equity across the classrooms and balance class sizes out. I think when you talk to some family, they're like, but our classrooms are brimming, and it's not true across the whole district. And if we're able to take this plan and spread the numbers out so that we have more equal numbers, that's not only more equal numbers, it's the opportunity to have meet those more balanced demographics and more balanced needs of the students amongst those classrooms. So I really appreciate that. Other support I've heard from folks has been that it's an opportunity to start building those relationships across the district, just not at our siloed schools from an early start, and that's something I'm definitely on board with. And then I guess I already mentioned the expansion of the early childhood program, which I just keep coming back to that piece. That's kind of the sell in this. So on a personal note, for myself, if this Aeroplan, I'm just going to call it Aeroplan for short. I forgot it was called the Plum Plan for a moment at one time. Our younger son will go to kindergarten at McKinley next year. So I'm a walking testament of someone who will be impacted by this next year. And I'm choosing to trust the district in that I'm not fearful. We've had the talk already with our own son, as he's been excited to go into Millette for years already, as his brother's there. And now we've just changed the tune of, guess what? You're gonna go to a different school that you've never been to and your brother hasn't been to, and we're just setting the tone of the excitement. And I truly believe we set the tone for our kids, and we can do that. And he's gonna think it's so cool to be in the district with a ton of kids the same age, different kids that he can become friends with, and it's just gonna be, I think, a really positive thing for all students. Of course, it's gonna be new and different, and I think that's where the biggest fears and concerns lay with people. It's different for every single person, and people will be impacted differently by it. But the beauty of it too is that any future pre-kindergarten or kindergarten students, this is all that they're gonna know. So we know what we know, but we can also set the tone that it's a positive thing moving forward for them. Anyways, I'll just close. I know I'm being very winded, I apologize.
You're fine.
Apparently I had a lot of thoughts, but I'm just really hopeful that this plan will really set a strong foundation for the future of academic success, starting at that early education level, and taking into consideration, I think it's also going to impact our kids in a good way socially and emotionally. I'm confident in our district that they aren't just going to throw us to the wolves. They're going to support our kids, and they're going to support our families. They're going to encourage kids along the way and show up with resources to make this the easiest transition possible. I would have an ask of the community, myself as a parent, other people who are in this room, that I think families and educators in the community can all get on board with making this a positive thing, and that will help our children to be more successful as they navigate these transitions, and help set them up for thriving in this new setting. So I'll stop. That's all I'm going to say.
No, thank you.
Yeah.
Very well expressed, and expresses what we're all thinking and replying to any concerns we have. Thank you very much.
Yep.
It's perfect. Any other questions or discussion?
No, she said a lot. I like kind of, you had a lot of my same thoughts. So I do like the kids building those relationships right away. So they're going to kind of get to see everybody. I mean, I know they're not going to then go to the same schools, but they're going to make those relationships. And I would assume that they would stay friends, because, I mean, it's happened in our families, or my family. You know, my kids met in preschools, and they didn't go to the same grade school, but they built those relationships early on, and they kept them on. So I think it'll be a positive thing as well.
Thank you. Anyone else? Questions? Discussion?
I just I thank you, other fellow board members, for your comments that you've made. Well thought out.
Thank you.
Can I add?
Yes.
Thank you, Rochelle. A couple of things that her comments made me think of. One of them is just to make sure we emphasize that she mentioned it about the other preschools in town. We want to enhance. We need those preschools to stay vibrant and open and gathering the students that they have spots for. We think there is a need for preschool, more of it, and so we want to be partners in that and a part of that world, and try and hopefully offer more opportunities for preschool children in our district who maybe they haven't been able to do that. And I think it was alluded to in the boundary maps, but about our transportation system and some of the enhancements we can make to that to hopefully make it more convenient and available for people in our district. Because I know that is one thing after I presented in January that we had some worry in that community, and I want to assure that community that's not our goal, is to have anybody close down. We need them to remain viable and a part of the early childhood foundation. And then I think too, a piece of this is it came through that in our community there is a real need for the early childhood piece. And so I think that's where we really kind of rallied around this particular plan, was the ability to just enhance that and make McKinley a true early childhood center with that focus on the early learner and setting all children up for success when they hit first grade. So we're excited about that. So I'm glad you hit on those two to kind of spur that piece of it.
Thank you, I'm glad you elaborated that.
Yeah.
That was a question I'd gotten from someone. Very good, thanks.
As we're talking about kindergarten and preschool, just a reminder that the registration for the roundup and screening stuff is going on now, so you can contact the district office. That takes place in the first part of April. So I think I got that right. Is that correct, Dr. Ballinger? April?
For kindergarten.
Kindergarten.
Kindergarten is April 4th and 5th.
And preschool is 8th and 22nd. Am I? Look at that.
Check our website for the flyers for the number to contact.
Came in the front door one time and I remembered it.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Barrett. All right, any further questions, discussion? Okay, call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Moving to 6.3.3, authority to bid a Suburban.
This one's a lot easier than the last agenda item. We're just looking for an authorization to bid a Suburban to update the transportation fleet. It is anticipated that it may be difficult to receive bids, so then we're looking for that if no bids are received, that we have authorization to purchase not to exceed $80,000. The funds are budgeted in the 23-24 capital outlay fund.
Okay, thank you. Asking for motion for authority to bid the Suburban.
I move that we grant authority to bid the Suburban.
Thank you, Mr. Iverson. Need a second.
Second.
Motion by Iverson, second by Rossman. Authority to bid the Suburban. Any questions, concerns? Is this diesel or gas?
Gas.
Okay, thanks. Anything else? All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Hearing none, motion passes. Moving to 6.3.4.
Please note that Mr. Stein had to go, so
Oh,
he's
yes.
no longer on the.
Okay.
Stuart has left the building. He's left us, yes. Mr. Stein is gone. Thank you for reminding
Yep.
me. All right, 6.3.4, authority to seek quotes, physical therapy services.
Thank you. The district is requesting permission to seek proposals from qualified physical therapists to provide physical therapy services for children with disabilities. Our current contract with Northeast Physical Therapy expires at the end of the 23-24 school year.
Okay, ask for a motion for approval or not.
I move that we give authority to seek bids for physical therapy services.
Thank you, Mr. Iverson. Need a second?
Second.
Moved by Iverson, second by Rossman. Any questions? Discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing no nays, the motion is approved.
And a big thank you to Rick Briggs
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
for
Thank you.
44 years
44
with the
years.
Watertown
That's
School
right.
District.
Yeah.
Rick Briggs was with us for
44 years.
44 years.
That's also older than Madden's dad.
Yep.
Thank you. Yeah, okay. Moving to 6.4, student enrollment request. 6.4.1, open enrollment.
Yes, we have one open enrollment for your consideration and recommend approval.
Asking for a motion for open enrollment.
I'll make a motion for the open enrollment.
Thank you, and a second. Motion by Laura, second by Rossman. Any questions? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Okay, those opposed? Nay, hearing none, it is approved. 6.4.2, the 13-28-10 student.
Yes, we do have 4 listed, and then we had an additional one that we need for your approval, so we have 5.
Okay, asking for a motion.
So moved.
Moved by Rossman, need a second?
Second.
Second by Laura. Any questions, discussions? You might want to clarify what 13-28-10 actually means.
Yes, the 13-28-10 is if someone is living with a party other than their parents, and so then that person is treated as the residency for the child.
Okay, very good. Any other questions? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Nay? Hearing none, it is approved. Motion passes. Moving to item 7, communications, 7.1.
Yes, a few announcements for the board and public to remember. On Thursday, that'd be the 15th, we have early dismissal at 12:30, and then we have parent-teacher conferences Thursday from 1 to 8 p.m. at all schools, and then no school on Friday or Monday for President's Day. To the board, we are looking at a work session ahead of our March 11th board meeting. So starting at 4 o'clock, 4 to 5:30 would be a work session for strategic planning ahead of the March 11th board meeting, and then the regular scheduled board meeting at 5:30. And then for the general public, the Bisco Barbecue is scheduled for Tuesday, March 12th. That's 11:30 on the 4th floor of Lake Area, and we are very excited to bring back one of our Watertown grads, Erica Peterson Mount. She is the founder of Nerdy Nuts, for anybody who's had the, what would we call it, designer peanut butter?
Incredible. I don't know.
Yeah. But she is coming back. It's a successful business woman who is a Watertown grad, is going to be our speaker that day. So you can get your tickets, contact us if you're looking for tickets, or if we have businesses out there who want to become Bisco board members, they should contact the office here so we can get them signed up.
What's the date on that again?
Tuesday, March 12th.
And we truly appreciate our business partners.
Yes, we've got a great group and we can always use more.
Okay.
And then just, reminder to the board, the legislative session is still in full swing. They're working on the 4%, we believe, is still in play. There are updates to the accountability bill, 1048. I believe it's now at 1048E, so the 5th revision of it, which establishes a minimum teacher salary of $45,000. That is in play, and then with some other accountability measures to that. I know we had talked previously about a possible voucher bill that was defeated in committee, and then a smoke out of it on the House floor was also defeated. So it's kind of the biggies there, at least in the education world.
Okay. Anything else? All right. Moving to 7.2, board report to superintendent. Do any board members have anything to report or note? All right, moving to item 8, executive session personnel. This is an annual February personnel executive session. So I'll ask for a motion to move into executive session.
I'll make a motion to go.
Motion by Lauren, a second by Rossman. And all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Okay.
Aye.
And that passes, so we are now going to declare it an executive session, and thank you everyone for coming.
John, are you going to stay on, or are you?
I have to do